Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am back to close out finally my May monthly budget. I have been wanting to film this video for a couple days, but if you guys didn't know, or if you guys don't follow me over on my planning Instagram, then you guys wouldn't know, but I got one of my wisdom tooth removed this past week. I didn't get all of them removed just because it was an emergency procedure, so it's been kind of not really hard to talk, but it was very uncomfortable for like the first 2 days. So that's kind of why I'm barely filming this video. Also, there's a lot of things going on in the world and I have spoke about them or just shared a bunch of not only resources but lots of tweets that I see over on Twitter that I want you guys to see. For today I wanted to start it to closing out this monthly budget. Now before I do that, I do realize that I still have to weekly check in for the 4th week, which is from the 25th up until the 31st. I typically don't like to make a video for that, but rather just include that last week of the month in my results video, just so that you guys get the whole point and just so that you guys can also see kind of step by step as to how I like to close out my budget. So this is my monthly view, and I also have my micro happy planner. This is where I keep all of my trackers for the different categories that I like to track. I also already have most of my expenses for this week. I think the only thing that I forgot to note was my coffee expense, which I'm just going to use one of these yellow stickers. Here is the key that lets you know what category each transaction is coming out of. So I like to mark my coffee category as an other just because I don't weekly check in for it, but I do have it noted in my monthly budget right here. That's kind of how I do that. So let's start. So on the 25th, which was Memorial Day, I went to Trader Joe's with my mom. I went with her and my part of the grocery run was $53. So I am using one of these pink expense stickers. Aside from that, on the 26th, I spent $23, guys, from my allowance category, and now I am just off the bat going to tell you guys that I didn't have enough money to cover for this expense, which is why it's in red right here. Let me actually explain what I even bought. If you guys don't watch my plan with me, then you guys don't know this. I've been doing a lot of at-home workouts, well, prior to the week that I'm filming this video anyway, and I thought that ankle weights would help me out a little bit more with like resistance to the workouts that I'm doing. So I did spend $23 for that. So I was over by $11, which you guys will see in my weekly check-in in a second. I'm not proud about it, but like I've mentioned before, I feel like this past month, especially because I haven't been using cash envelopes, I've kind of had or giving myself the liberty to spend more than I have, which doesn't make any sense, I know. And although it was only a couple, dollars over my budgeted amount, I still kind of feel bad now that I'm thinking about it. But in the moment, I just justified it by saying it's just a couple dollars and you're doing so well with your workouts, so might as well just include this for this month. So that's kind of how that went. I didn't have any expenses for the 27th, but on the 28th, I had two expenses. First, I went to Starbucks and I reloaded my Starbucks card with $10. So that is coming out of coffee. And then last but not least, I spent some eating out money and went to the Buffalo spot with my boyfriend Paul. If you guys have never been to the Buffalo spot, I don't know if they have it everywhere actually, but I'm in Southern California and this is like such a good place. It is basically fries with buffalo boneless wings on top with like the buffalo sauce. It's so delicious. If you guys have one around you guys, definitely recommend. And I think, yeah, it's pretty much all that I have for the last week as to expenses. So now that I have that all down, I'm going to take out my no spend stickers and put a sticker on every day that I had a no spend. So I had a no spend on the 27th, on the 29th, and on the 30th. So just to kind of see how many no spend days I had, I'm going to count. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 12 no spend days, definitely less than the past couple of months. I think I had 15 no spend days last month, which is totally fine. I just like to kind of count and keep track of that on a monthly basis. So now that I'm all done with my monthly view, I can go ahead and take out my red pen and weekly check-in for those categories. So I'm going to do the week 4 check-in as well as the results section and this weekly check-in spread. So quickly I'm just going to write my categories in. So food, gas, shopping, and unbudgeted. If you guys are new to my channel, you guys wouldn't know this, but I do like to group some of my categories together just to be able to fit my weekly check-in spread in one page, since I only have so many pages to work with in this planner. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip back really quick. I had 2 food expenses, so that was 53 for Trader Joe's and 24 for the Buffalo Spot. So off the bat, I'm just going to check these off too as we're going through them. So in total, I spent $77, and I'm going to subtract 7 from the remaining, which is $133. So that means that I still had $56 remaining for this month, which is super great. Next, I have gas, which I know that I didn't spend anything because those are typically on purple stickers. And I still do have those $2 left for gas. I actually only budgeted, I believe, like $40 for gas, I want to say. No, $30 for gas for the month of May. Okay, and then last but not least, we have Amazon, which is part of shopping, which if you guys don't know, shopping has both my allowance and beauty categories grouped together. And for shopping, like I mentioned, for allowance I spent $23. It's gonna look a little bit different because since I do group them together, I have to take into consideration the amount that I have here. So 10 minus 11, that means that I was still over by $1. Of course, if I had more space to lay down every single category that I have, you guys would see that more in detail. But once we take it to the main monthly budget spread, you guys will see that in there. So aside from that, from budgeted, there was nothing going on for this week, but we are still over $83 from last week, which if you guys would like to know what that was for, you guys can go ahead and check out my week 3 check-in video. And then so for my results kind of section, I am just going to write down the same remainings for all of them because that is not changing. And then for spent, I'm going to add all of my spending for the month. So we have 40 plus a 90 plus 117 plus 77. That means that I spent a total of $324 for my groceries and eating out categories. Next, for gas, I know I only spent $28. So let me write that here. For shopping, I spent $39 plus $119 plus $23. That is a total of $181. And then for unbudgeted, I did spend $83. So that is how my results section is going to look. And that's going to be pretty much it for the weekly check-in part of this video. Yes, expenses that I have here in yellow, I do like to wait up until the end of the month where I'm filming this results video to kind of track in my budget spread. So we'll do that right after I go ahead and show you guys how it is that I close my sinking fund spread. I always like to make videos, if you guys don't know, in the very beginning of the month as to how I set up my monthly budget, my sinking funds, and I believe various other spreads. So to finish up with the month, I have here my sinking fund spread with the transaction log at the bottom. I didn't have as many transactions as I've had in the past, but I guess that is a good thing. So off the bat, I can go ahead and write a dash here because there were no expenses for adventures. So that means that ending, I should have $350. Next, for Amazon Prime, nothing came out of that, and I'm ending with 120, which is enough to pay for my annually subscription. Next, for birthdays, I had 20. I added 150, and I did spend those 150. So I have $20. For car insurance, I had 30, added 200, and I did spend those 200. So I should still have $30 there. Oops, can't even see there. Next, for cart maintenance, there were no expenses. So that equals to 210. Car payment, no transactions. So we still should have 373. Christmas, nothing going out this month. So we should have 250 at the end of this month. For clothing, I had $6 and I added 75. I did make a transaction on the 14th, which was $58. So that means that I have $23 remaining. Date night, nothing went out, so I should have $59 remaining there. Next, for entertainment, I had 32 and I added 18. I did have a transaction of $22. So I should have $28 left. For medical, I had 34 and added 50. There was no transactions down here. So I have $84 at the end. And then last but not least, I have my Peru trip, which I started with $735. There were no transactions. And I am ending with $985. Perfect. So now I can go ahead and see how much I spend off of my sinking funds for this month, and the total is $430. And then as to my ending, let me go ahead and add this. We have 350, 120, 20, 30, 210, 373, 250, 23, 59, 28, 84, and 985. That means that I am ending with 2,532 as to the month of May, and that should match up with my beginning for the month of June. If you guys have checked out my sinking funds for this new month, then you guys would have seen that. And that is how I like to close out my sinking funds. Great that that is done now. And now, last but not least, or before I get to my May budget spread, I want to go ahead and give you guys a quick look as to what has been going on in my variable income spread. I did add Amazon in here, which if you guys are wondering what that's for, it's just affiliate links that I like to have in my description box. I wasn't estimating anything. I don't typically estimate anything for Amazon, but to my surprise, I actually got $37.77 out of that. So super thankful, as always, to anyone who uses any one of the links that I provide in my description box. And then the last thing that I wanted to add in here was my Etsy. As you guys know, I do get a paycheck, or my shop gives me a paycheck once a month to cover for all of my bills. But I do like to add Etsy in my variable income spread because I do get extra money to pay off my debt from there. So this month I did get $820 to make an extra payment towards my debt, which, if you guys are wondering where I'm getting that amount from, I did make a debt snowball spread. I always do, and that's kind of the extra debt payment that I made for the month. So that's gonna be for that. I also have my expense tracker for my variable income, and since the last time that we saw each other, I only made one, which was on the 27th for $34.95 from Scribble Prints Co. I hadn't realized, but I hadn't bought anything from Scribble Prints Co. all month, and she came out with the cutest kit. It was like this Happy Mail one, which I will be sure to haul. I actually already got it in the mail, which is so great. So that's kind of what I spent. And then as for shipping, I spent $29.79 for the week of the 27th. And that's kind of what I like to track. If you guys are wondering what this is for, this is most likely for all of the patron cash envelope orders that I take throughout the month. So that was that amount. And now that we're done with this spread, we get to move on to this spread, which is where I will be closing out every single one of my expenses. I already do have, as we know, the remaining from my categories and my weekly check-in, but I think I'm mostly just going to go off of my trackers here, just because since I do group some of my categories together, there's no way of me really knowing exactly how much money is coming out of which category unless I look at my tracker. So that's the reason why I like to have this on the side with me, not only when I'm using cash envelopes, but also when I'm not. I think it's just a very handy thing to have with you. Okay, so for groceries, I still had $42 remaining. So my variance is 42, and I'm going to subtract the 42 from the 225, and that means that my actual was $183. I decided to, I believe, add $5 more for the month of June, just because I do have to buy toiletries, and that's kind of what I'm including in my groceries cash envelope. So I have to buy, I think, like soaps, and I also want to buy like detergent, fabric softener, stuff like that that I don't typically have to buy every single month, but that I rather switch off with my mom and dad for the whole household. Next, eating out, I had remaining $14, and if I had cash, which I wish I did, I would have rolled over this money. I'm going to subtract 14 from 130, meaning that I spent $116. Really sorry if you guys can hear my dad in the background, by the way. Next, for gas, as I mentioned, I already know that I spent $28, so that is my actual, and my variance is $2 because I was under my budgeted amount of $30. Next, for allowance. Okay, so for this I was over $11, so that means that I actually spent $111, and that my variance is -11. For beauty, I was under $10, so that means that I only ended up spending $70, which is good. I was actually talking about, I think in my daily petite planner plan with me, that I thought that I was going to have to buy hair dye, but to my surprise I actually had enough to dye my hair 2 more times. Next, for coffee, that is where I go into my monthly view for. I think I only have one for coffee. So one expense of $10 for coffee. So that means that I was under $20. For rent, the actual was the same, which is the reason why I've moved my rent category from variable to fixed expense. So there's no variance there. Phone bill, that was the same amount. I think I have it in here, yes. So it's the same amount as it has been the past couple of months. So $109.33 for my actual. So that means that I was under budget by 67 cents. For Mother's Day, I budgeted $100, and I believe that's the amount of money that I spent. Yes. So I have it right here with another expense sticker. So the actual is 100, and there's no variance there. And then last but not least, for my unbudgeted category, which I always mention is a placeholder that I have in my budget just in case I have any unbudgeted expenses that come up. And there was one for this month, which was a total of $83. I've talked about it already in a past weekly check-in video like I mentioned. So the actual was $83, meaning that I was over by that amount since I don't budget anything for unbudgeted. So let's go ahead and add up all of our actuals, variances, and move on to the next step. So in total, for my actuals, that comes out to $1,210 with 33 cents. So let's add all the unders first. So 42 plus 14 plus 2 plus 10 plus 20 plus 67 cents. That is 88.67 minus 11 minus 83. That means $5.33, which matches up if you subtract this amount from this amount. So I was over for this month. I know that I definitely can be under my budget, and I have done that for quite a few months, but when I do go over my budget, I never like to beat myself up about it because I can start a new budget in June. So now I'm going to add my extra debt payment since I already know what that is. That was $825, and we can go ahead and add up my fixed expenses. So the total for my fixed expenses equals to $2,448 with 82 cents. And now that I have that, we can move on to the total section, which I like to have here in my spread. I'm going to put the budgeted amount for my variable and fix, which for fix is going to be the same thing for budgeted and actual, since fixed expenses or the amounts within them don't change within the month. They're pretty much set. And then the actual for my variable expenses, which was $1,210 with 33 cents. As I've mentioned. And now after the video is over, since you guys know that I don't disclose my income, I will be subtracting all of my expenses from my income. And once I get a total for that, I can go ahead and allocate whatever amount I have left and put it here as to where it is that it's going. As of now, I'm planning on part of it going towards my savings account and the other part going to my moving out savings fund that I have. So with that being said, I think that's going to be pretty much it for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed me going step by step as to how I close my budget for the month. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do not forget to give it a huge thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel if you guys are not subscribed already, and hopefully I will get to see you guys on my next video. Bye guys.